who has Disney Plus?
Me. I do.
You do?
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
Why?
I don't know.
All right.
Do you have it?
I definitely do. I knew I was going to get it the moment they announced it.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
What were you? Why? Why though? Because I have a almost 3-year-old.
For several reasons.
Okay, go.
Pixar.
Okay.
Star Wars. Marvel. And a lot of other things that I'm a big fan of. And Disney just owns a lot, and I feel like they're going to do a lot, and I feel like they're going to put it all on their platform, and I want access to it.
Did you do the package? The Hulu, Disney,
Yes.
ESPN. So did I. They got us.
Yeah.
They got us. Why did you do it?
I actually watch Hulu now, before Disney Plus, and I use a friend's Hulu, and I was like, I might as well just get my own.
Because it was the difference between $8 and $15 or something?
Yeah, it's might as well.
Mine was because I've always considered ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
Like whatever it is,
ESPN Plus, yeah.
Isn't it? But it's not everything, right? Isn't ESPN Plus like?
It's not that
specific
great.
on it?
Now that I have it, it's really
I don't
not
even
that
use
great.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, but we didn't have Hulu either.
How do you like Hulu? Because it's different. With
The ads frustrate me.
Okay.
I just don't get it.
What?
Why they would put ads on a paying service?
Well, there's another tier, right? It's like you pay
Is there?
$15 a month, and then there's no
You
ads
can
or
get
something
no
like
ads.
that. So the ads frustrate me. However, I will say that their software design, is that what you want to call it?
Interface.
Their interface is by far the most attractive interface
I like it.
to me. I love the border around the screen, like that color that borders. I don't know. Just thinking from a design perspective, I love their app.
The ads don't really bother me, especially because sometimes you can watch one ad and just watch your.
Well, this is what bothers me.
Okay.
So Bob's Burgers, right? 20-minute episodes. If I'm not mistaken, there's 4.5-minute commercial breaks in it. So I'm watching 20 minutes of a show and 6 minutes of ads. And if it's not that bad, somebody's gonna be like, "Oh, you're hyping it." That's what it feels like.
Right.
So it's such a short show that it just seems like so much. Now, if I'm watching a movie or something and they were splitting it up like that, which I hate commercials during movies, so I'm automatically
that would
disagreeing
bother
with
me.
myself. But it's just the ratio
Do they play
sometimes.
ads during? Does Hulu have movies?
Yes.
Okay.
Not a very impressive lineup.
It's not a
that I've
lot,
seen.
but I don't think they don't play ads during movies. I've never watched a movie on Hulu and gotten an ad. I think they just play it on the network stuff, any show that they have. They have ads. If you don't have
I think the best thing about Hulu is that there are certain shows. For instance, Last Man on Earth, which I absolutely love. It's the only place to get it.
Yep.
Bob's Burgers, which I absolutely love. That's the only place that I know of to get it. So
Other than cable.
right. So what they do have is just some great shows that I really like. They have a great interface, user interface, whatever app, smart TV app, whatever you want to call, that I think is just aesthetically way beyond everybody else's. But the ads and limited content, I think, because there's only a couple things on there that even interest me. Brooklyn Nine-Nine is on there, which is cool.
I watch a lot of things on Hulu, actually.
So Hulu is good. Ads frustrating. ESPN Plus, it's kind of pointless for me. Disney Plus. Okay. Have you had issues with Disney Plus?
A little. So,
I have.
Things have frozen, and I'll have to exit and then go back in. It'll start at the same spot.
Okay,
but
so remember at first there was no resume or there was no start over, for the first week.
oh, I didn't see that. I didn't know that.
So yeah, and people were on Facebook, there was no start over for sure.
There was no continue watching.
There was no continue watching. Okay, that was one thing. So, but this is what happened after they added the start over and after they added the continue watching. We would go click continue watching and it would start over. And then you'd go back and it would still be on continue watching and you could see your spot on the timeline and you click on it and it would start over. Then we started doing the start over button and I can't remember what was happening, but nothing it just wasn't working the way it was supposed to be working. The funny part about that is the day it came out, I happened to wake up like super early, like 5 o'clock. And I just went upstairs and like, I was like, oh, I had a thing on my phone and I was like, oh, Disney Plus is out today. So I like opened it up on the TV and I went to like movies and went to the Ultra HD, HDR, or whatever category that's on there. And there was literally like 2 movies. And I was like, it's like, that's weird. So I like kind of browsing through and I noticed like on the all movies tab, I went to like the letter C and it stopped. And I was like, is everything like not on here yet? And literally over the next 2 hours, there was more and more content. And it's like, it wasn't because it wasn't loading on my app. Like that's all there was. Like from the server or whatever.
Like a rollout or something.
Right. Like that's all that was happening at that time for whatever reason for me. But I've had some issues. And then we've had the issue of like you click to play it and it's like, sorry, can't play this right now.
Oh,
And we're like,
Netflix has that problem though too sometimes.
yeah.
Can't access this title.
I hate that.
So it's as simple as just closing it out, opening it back up, and then it seems to work. But
I'm more forgiving with Disney because they just started. When it happens on Netflix, that's frustrating.
yeah, but you're Disney.
Yeah, that's
They make
true.
like $1 billion a day or something crazy. You know what I mean? Like literally hire the entire Netflix team and bring them over to Disney and do it right. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Like-
right. I got
Like
you.
you have the option to do that. Like you could literally buy the planet. Like just do the streaming service
Literally
right.
by the planet.
But
The entire Earth.
so the Mandalorian, we spoke a little about on the podcast, the first episode. Really good. Now I'll be honest. There's like people are coming up to me like, "Have you seen the Mandalorian?" They're like super hyping it, and I'm like, "Yes, it's good." Like so,
Right.
I'm not like blown away. I wouldn't like get Disney Plus to watch it. I'm 2 episodes in. I think there's like 5 out now
Yeah,
at the
it's
time
on
of this
Friday.
recording. So it's good. It might be really good, but it's not great to me.
I think
And I like the Star Wars universe.
It's the best Star Wars universe thing, in my opinion, that's come out in a while.
I said okay because I feel like I've heard a lot of people say that.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's just I think it's just because it's different. A lot of people when they think Star Wars, especially those who haven't watched any of like the animated series or anything like that, they expect like big moments, epic storytelling, and this is a little bit slower of an approach, a little bit more like piecemeal, you know, like you didn't the whole like Baby Yoda thing, other than like the way it's taken the world by storm and it's like memes and all that, like it wasn't what, like someone texted me, they were like, "Have you watched The Mandalorian yet?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm about to." And it was this girl and she's like, "Oh, it's so cute." And I was like, "What?"
That's weird.
I was like, "What do you mean it's cute?" I was like, "That's not what I expected to hear." She's like, "Just watch." I was like, "All right." And then I got it at the end of the episode. I was
Right.
like, "Oh, okay." So, but I mean, they're not putting it all out there. There's very minimal exposition. Like it's visually, it looks good, and it's letting the story beats take you along.
I think the best compliment, 2 things that I could give it is I hands down like the old Star Wars movies, episodes 4, 5, and 6, right? Like way more than the new ones. I don't hate them. I'm not like, I'm not like a purist or whatever. Like I just enjoy them. This feels to me like original Star Wars.
Yeah, that's what I like about it.
It feels different to me from some of like the Rogue One type movie where like that's one compliment. And I think a lot of that just has to do with probably just the cinematography. And even like the character that's in I think he's just in the 2nd episode. The guy who leaves the Mandalorian at the end of the 2nd episode with the crazy face. He's like
Oh,
a
yeah.
puppet. But
I
like
forget what his name is.
the fact that he's a live action character, I love it. Like I just love, like, obviously it's a puppet or a mask or whatever,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like I just really, really loved the fact that that was an actual thing happening
Well,
in the
it's the
scene.
same thing with Baby Yoda. It's a puppet as well.
Is it?
Yes. Yeah. For the most part, it is, and a really
Now I think, okay, because I saw the headline from one of the original Star Wars cast members or something
Mm.
that was upset that it was not live action.
It is.
It is.
There are probably moments where elements like maybe like certain parts of the puppet are CGI, or there might be a scene or two where it's not a puppet, but for the majority of it, it is really there.
So okay, so maybe that's the vibe. Like you agreed with me with that, like
Yeah.
old school feel. Maybe
That's part of what it is. It's
Right.
like that practical. Star Wars got away from that in the prequel
Right.
series. There was a lot of CGI, and even like
Jar Jar Binks.
right, but
esque
even
stuff.
even the re-releases that Disney has come out with, and even George Lucas before Disney bought it, like the remasters, you can go on YouTube and watch like the things that they changed, and it was certain unnecessary things. It would be like a foreground element of some weird monster walking down the stairs, and it's like this didn't make it look any better.
Right.
But the guy, I think they just refer to him as the client. That his name's Werner Herzog, I believe.
Oh,
He's a documentarian, but he's also an actor. He's the guy that like pays the Mandalorian.
I like his voice.
Yeah, he's German. He's got this really like weird accent. He's
Yeah.
also
Oh,
he's
yeah.
in an episode of Parks and Rec too, which is I was reading this article. I'm like rabbit trailing, but he's like in the episode of Parks and Rec. He was like, I want to sell my house and move to Disney World, and then like now he's in a Disney Plus show. It's just a funny connection. But he actually called out the director because they were going to do a scene. And I believe it was Jon Favreau. They said like, all right, let's take the actual puppet out of the shot, and we'll get a clean slate for the shot if we want to do something with CGI. And he called him out like right there when they were filming, and he called him a coward.
Maybe that's the headline I saw.
Okay, but basically he was like, if you're going to use a CGI version here, you're a coward
I like it.
over a little baby Yoda
Hey,
creature.
he's a baby Yoda purist.
He makes
Sticking up for the
the
puppeteer, man.
article also said that he was in the scene because there was, I guess, maybe a moment where they acted together. He was actually talking to the puppet as if the puppet was like taking direction. So he might be a little crazy too.
I like it.
That sounds weird.
Okay, so the other thing that feels like old Star Wars, that was one thing I really got to give it. Number two was my nephew came up to me and he said, have you seen The Mandalorian? Have you been watching it? And I said, yeah, I watched the first episode. And he was like, yeah. He was like, I love it. He was like, you don't even have to like Star Wars and you can like this, which he doesn't like. He's not like a Star Wars guy, you know? So I thought that was a big compliment. And I think it's true. I think
It's very
watching
true,
it,
yeah.
I think anybody, if you've never heard of Star Wars, you could pick it up and you would probably think that The Mandalorian was like the main character of the universe, you know?
Oh, and I can't even watch it now unless my wife is there because she's watching it with me and she does not like Star Wars. She's
That's a
never
big compliment, too.
she's never seen a Star Wars movie. If I watch it without her, why did you watch it without me? So I have to wait. So that speaks volumes to, I think, the style and, you know, how the show's being received by people.
Yeah. As far as Disney Plus goes as a whole, I think so. Disney got a lot of subscribers initially, and everyone was saying, "Is Disney Plus going to be the Netflix killer?"
Absolutely not.
No way, for a number of reasons. But I'm curious to see long term how things play out because a lot of people signed up for Disney Plus for nostalgia reasons, or the ability to go back and watch things that have, even if it's not super old, that's come out recently. Like you're talking about like Pixar, like being able to go back and watch all 4 or 3 to 4 Toy Story movies.
Already
But
done.
some people
Right.
they're like, oh, all these like Disney Channel shows, and you know, like one of the first things I watched on Disney Plus was the animated Spider-Man cartoon from the 90s that I grew up watching. I watched like 3 episodes and I was like, This sucks, kind of.
Yeah.
That's cool. And that was like the thing. Like I was like, yeah, I kind of got that nostalgia out of the way.
Right.
Now it's like this platform has to continue to bring relevant value.
But
Not saying that they won't, but
do you think that people signed up just for that, or that was just
Well, I
kind
know
of
why I signed up.
why is that?
If I wouldn't have had a 3-year-old little girl, I probably would have just been
Waited.
like, okay. But I was like pre-ordered that joint. You know what I mean?
Okay, got you.
Like I was always signed up because, first of all, when you have a 3-year-old child and you care about what they're viewing, you can't just watch whatever you want when they're in the room. So that means a lot of times, not because we're just giving her whatever she wants, but you kind of cater what you're watching to that 3-year-old because you want to make sure that it's okay content that they're putting in their brains. That being said, one of the best things I think a parent and child could watch together is a Pixar movie.
That's very true.
Because I love Pixar. I mean, it's like, even if I didn't have a 3-year-old, I'm sitting down watching them. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it was just like, finally, I don't have to watch these terrible, low budget, whatever things on Netflix or YouTube. Like, and I also don't have to go spend $19.99 on some digital movie, you know, that I'm going to watch a couple times and then not watch for months, you know? So it's like, to me, it was a no-brainer because Malin watches a movie and she wants to watch it immediately when it's over again. And then immediately the next day. I mean, she gets hung up on movies like crazy. So yeah, why I got it, the nostalgia thing, you know, it's like they have this section like out of the vault. Because, you know, Disney's been...
playing us?
No, they've been great at kind of keeping this is the thing that scares me.
Building false scarcity.
Well, yes, but this is the thing that scares me if I'm Disney. For the past decade, Disney has been like, it has established itself almost as like the premier movie maker. And I think the reason that how they've done that is by making their movies so difficult to watch, not necessarily own, but everything has been so easy to watch, like every movie. But for a long time, Pixar movies, a lot of Disney movies, they're either in the vault locked up where you can't get them, or you have to pay $20 to watch this movie. And to me, that was never like, oh, these greedy, you know, these greedy, money-hungry people. To me, it was always like, yo, they just feel like their movies are better than everybody else's. And they can do that. For the most part, they could.
Right.
So what scares me now, if I'm Disney, it's like, I'll be honest. I get on Disney Plus now, and Up's on there, or Inside Out, and I just scroll past it. Something I never would have done 2 months ago if it was on any other platform. Does that make sense?
I'm different.
Really?
I'll click it. I've already watched Toy Story 3. I've watched...
But don't get me wrong. I've watched all of the Pixar movies already.
Right.
But I think what I'm saying is before it was like, man, I wish I could just watch that movie right now. And now I can.
Well, you know what?
Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And there's a certain prestige now that's gone. Like, for instance, I still have a lot of the old tapes, like Jungle Book on cassette.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I have them. And like, to me, it was just like, yo, that's it. That's the movie right there. But now I can pull it up anytime I want on that app and watch it. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's cool. But I think they've lost an element of almost like exclusiveness.
But
like,
you know what I think?
Know what I'm saying?
You know what I think it is, though? We're a generation that grew up on those movies. And now this new generation is coming in, and they're not going to appreciate those movies the same way that we do. They're not going to hold them in the same regard. So I think now they're just like giving them to us.
Right.
Well, I also think they probably have realized at this point that things have to change, that they can't continue to probably achieve that same level of I'll just say value that are placed, and not even monetary, but just like the way people
Perceived value. Yeah, for sure.
They can't do that same thing anymore. They can't hide movies because realistically the vault makes no sense. No, other than the fact that they want to withhold something for a reason.
But okay,
whatever that reason is, whether it be to make more money when it comes back out, or just to continually put that sort of feeling in people's minds that this won't always be here for you.
But it does make sense to me. It's a different platform, but it's the same reason they only make 100 versions of a Bugatti. It's the reason they only make so many Jordan 12 releases, whatever.
Yeah.
Why people are lined up to get them. Because you don't see a Bugatti every day. You don't see Jordan sitting on the shelf every day. So there's an element to it. That's why when you see somebody wearing those, or when you see one of those cars go by, you're like, oh, snap, because they're more rare.
Right.
Now, what's happened is when I see that little thumbnail of Toy Story 3 or whatever, I can switch over to Netflix and there's some terrible, low budget, awful movie on a thumbnail on the same screen. And that's what I couldn't get before. I couldn't just instant click on all of those great Pixar movies, and I can get that now. And what I'm saying is, I'm not saying don't get me wrong. It's not going to hurt Disney. I don't think that. But what's happened is that perception for me, now I'm watching when I'm thinking of branding and I'm going, oh, snap. Now it's just another movie in the sea of movies that I can watch at any time. Whereas before, there was this Bugatti Jordan status to it.
Right.
I'm not saying it's gonna kill Disney. I'm not. Please don't get me wrong.
I think,
but
I got you.
It was like the one thing that Disney had, and especially Pixar. It was like the one thing that just like set them apart. Because like I remember my sister talking about, I wish that I could buy her daughter. She was saying her this movie and that movie and that movie, but she just couldn't. Or at the time, I remember there was some movies that were like $100 on eBay. People selling this movie, and again, I agree with you that that's just probably not a sustainable model moving forward for film. But I wonder if there's a way that Disney can have the Disney Plus platform, but yet regain or maintain also some of that prestige that they had before. Does that make sense?
I think it probably would have to come down to the, as opposed to the brand as a whole, it would have to come down to the films individually. What they're doing by allowing you to have, at least for the time being, allowing you to have access to everything all at one time right now, they're putting themselves in a position where now the movies themselves have to have their own individual value and worth built into it. So it's like almost like what I'm trying to say is like, for instance, Pixar used to not make sequels. That was like their thing at first.
Especially like studio straight to...
Right. That was like Pixar's thing. Their value was, we're telling a story, and it is a contained story in its own universe, and this is it. This is what you get. They were restricting like the world that they were building in each film. And then I think, wasn't it, I can't remember, I'm trying to remember with when I watched that Pixar, it might be in the book too though, that Pixar documentary, they were talking about it, like, was it their relationship with Disney that changed that pushed them towards making sequels?
From what I remember from, I believe, Creativity Inc., Ed Catmull, is that, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that Disney was pushing them to do sequels, and they kind of pushed against that.
That's what I sounds right to me too.
Yeah, but because there was some strain on that relationship
Yeah.
as well. But I guess what you're saying is the fact of evolution
Mhm.
and having to.
Things changed. I mean, people wanted
Because
people
you-
responded well
You
to,
know this.
to Toy Story 2.
You know this had to be part of the conversation. They've locked their movies up. They've guarded them. They've perceived value, supply and demand. They've worked all of these things. I mean, probably the reason it's 2019 and they're doing Disney Plus is because I could imagine that for a long time they were thinking, we're not going to do that with our movies. We're not going to do that. And because I would think that they would understand what I'm saying of what that could do to the perception of their films. But at the same time, what you're saying is that at some point they were like, all right, this is where everybody's going. Like,
I was gonna say you have to change because the people that have that perception aren't going to be here forever. So the next generation, the next
that's true
bunch of people who are now entering the workforce who didn't grow up with Disney, how do you please those people?
I wonder if it was a numbers game. You think they're watching their sales and they're watching streaming services and they're going, okay, when they intersect, then we're gonna.
I think too. They also had movies on other platforms. So a lot of Marvel films were on Netflix. So they had
though, like Netflix,
scarcely though.
You could get Finding Dory, but not Finding Nemo.
Right.
And so they definitely limited. I get probably in that same vein of what they were doing things before, like with the vault process, like to be like, for instance, even now, like you can go on for whatever reason. I think it's contract relates maybe with Netflix. You can go on Disney Plus and watch Endgame, but you can't watch Infinity.
And I'll say, due to contract restrictions, this isn't coming until such and
right.
such day.
So,
which also, to me, begs the question: was there a lack of some foresight when they were signing these contracts? Did they even expect to do Disney Plus in 2019 if they're going to sign contracts through to 20? I think I've seen something like 2022 that they can't even play their own movie.
I think so.
Is that a lack of foresight?
Well, because
maybe to a certain degree, but depends on when they signed those contracts.
I don't think it would be enough for me to say just because a few Marvel movies weren't on there that I wouldn't want to sign up. So there could have been foresight, but they weren't worried about not having one or two or three movies part of whatever universe.
So this is my other question: have they necessarily committed to putting all of their future movies on Disney Plus?
I don't think they did or have.
Well,
I don't think they will also.
I was going to say, I don't think they should.
Because I'm saying, because that might be a way to kind of counter what I was saying. What I was saying is like,
That's
maybe
true.
they do have some movies that, I don't know though, man, because I feel like the general public would expect if Disney makes it, it's going to be on there. And I wonder.
The other thing to realize is that there's already stuff that Disney owns and makes that's not on Disney Plus, but it's on Hulu. And not a lot of people know, but not everybody knows that Disney owns majority stake.
I was going to say.
So, and that's been talked about too. Like for instance, like Disney bought Fox and all of their television and movie IPs with that. Things like The Simpsons are on Disney Plus, a Fox property that's been Fox forever, but Family Guy isn't. I believe it's on Hulu.
It's on Hulu.
But there's things like that they own now that will probably always be on Hulu or something other than Disney Plus.
I mean, but since they own the majority stake, I mean, how I don't know. I mean, they're still making money off of that. Mm-hmm. So, and
it comes down to the fact they're making money off of everything.
That's true.
They're still making money off their contracts with Netflix.
Yeah,
with Bob, Joe, and Cindy's streaming services. So, I mean,
I feel like that's going to be a thing of the past.
I wish that I could be a fly on the wall like the past couple of years when they've been talking about when they finally made the decision. Okay, we're going to do this, because I would love to know. And maybe there's information out there besides just speculation. I would love to know, like, you know, why now? Why not earlier? Because streaming is not a new thing.
Right.
And maybe this was part of, maybe they kept Disney Plus in the vault for a while so that when it came out, all three of us would have it.
Yeah.
Well,
Could have been
also-
a marketing
You
strategy.
know what I'm saying?
also could-
Maybe they're just going to hold out to make people want it.
It could have had something to do with their process of acquiring Fox and other things
Other
like
companies,
that.
Yeah.
ESPN.
Because
you know,
with Fox, I mean, Disney has a lot of stuff. I mean, Disney had, prior to their Fox acquisition, they have anything that's been on ABC pretty much, and Freeform or whatever it's called now, and or the ABC Family or whatever. And then they have a number of like smaller studios that you wouldn't have known were Disney because they don't start with the Disney banner. And so they had a lot of stuff, but over the last several years, their acquisitions have brought a much larger like pool of content to put out there. And maybe it didn't make fiscal sense to come up with their own streaming service until these acquisitions closed.
Yeah.
So maybe it's been part of the process, but maybe in the foresight thought, maybe they were like, for now, we have IPs, we need to make money with them. So let's give them to other people to use.
So let me ask you this to end the Disney Plus conversation. You're giving it a review, 1 to 5 stars. What do you give it?
5 being the best.
Yeah.
I'll give it a 4 right now.
3.7.
I would. First week, probably a 3. Second week, I'm moving towards a 4. And I'll be honest, even though I'm not even like head over heels in love with it, The Mandalorian is adding at least a star. Just that.
Okay.
I got just now. I will say this too, and I don't know if you guys are experiencing this, but I know a little bit about audio. When I watch everything at home, I have a Samsung QLED TV, Samsung entertainment system, sound towers, 2 subwoofers, the whole shenanigans. I watch everything at about 15. Okay. It's 0 to 30 on this system. I watch everything at about 15. When I start Disney Plus, I'm on like 24, 25. So their audio feed is significantly lower across, not just on my TV either. I've noticed this on my phone. So that bugs me. And I don't understand why they can't figure that out.
You know what? That's true. And I never thought about that. I think when I'm watching Disney Plus movies, I'm turning my volume up a lot more. And I'm like, dang, I'm at like 60 right now. Whereas everything else is at like 40.
Right. So, and I've noticed that, and that kind of drives me crazy to the extent that I threw on just to, kind of put the whole system to work one day. Everybody's like gone. It's getting dark. I was like, I'm going to put on like a Marvel battle scene and just enjoy just a few minutes of madness in my, living room. So like turn the lights off, shut the curtains, cue up the scene, turn the audio up to like 20. I'm like, let's go. And I'm like, it starts going. I'm like, nah. So I pick up my remote and I'm like cranking. And I could never get it loud enough.
Really?
Which is very disappointing. And this is like high wattage. Like I said, normally, man, if I'm on 20 on Netflix, the house is shaking. And I was literally sitting there going. So it was very disappointing. But
Maybe you need to have a 7.1 surround sound system.
too much, man. But yeah, I think
That's crazy.
Yeah. Besides that, I'm sticking with it for sure.
Oh, I love it.
I'm looking forward to. I just because I like the universes, I'm looking forward to the more shows in like the Marvel universe and in the Star Wars universe, especially with the Mandalorian being. I mean, now it's obviously could just be a single example. They're coming out with an Obi-Wan TV show with Ewan McGregor in it, the guy who played Obi-Wan in the prequel series.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I don't know when that comes out. It might not be 2020. It might be 2021. But then, of course, all of the Marvel shows, they've WandaVision, which is Vision, and Scarlet Witch, and the Hawkeye show, and the Loki.
Isn't there like an X-Men thing they're doing too?
Like something totally new.
Yeah.
Not that I know of. I don't think they've put any actual announcements out about any X-Men related properties yet. I think they're still kind of waiting for that to all die down.
I thought I read something about some new origin story for the X-Men, something that was going to connect
Live
the
action?
X-Men with the into like the Marvel universe. I mean, they're in the Marvel universe, but kind of like
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so
it
yet.
might have been a fan.
Right. Yeah, I don't think they're
type
actually
thing.
going to be trying to connect. I think they're just going to wipe the slate clean with that. But what I'm saying is I'm looking forward to more content like that. I like shows. When they were rebooting Spider-Man with what's his face?
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland. I kept saying, because they were doing Netflix was doing some pretty cool stuff with their Marvel shows. So I was like, I think they should bring Spider-Man back on TV, on streaming. And now that Netflix ended up canceling all those shows and Disney Plus exists, I'm glad it sort of went the way it did. But I like the ability that a TV show gives you to tell like episodic, interconnected stories that don't have to have so much shoved into 2.5 hours, you know?
Yeah.
So 3.7 stars, 4 stars.
4.
And I'm about 3.5.
I just don't think. Now, there's a lot of stuff on there. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think there's a lot on there.
There's really not.
I think that's part of my issue.
There's
Is
really
that
not.
I can look through every movie that's on there and be like,
Yeah, just sheer volume wise, there's not a large number of things. There's a lot of good things on there. There's also a lot of things,
But there's also, I was going to say, there's also, when you watch things like Netflix and Hulu, you search through all the content, and a lot of the shows that you see are the movies that you can watch. You don't even want to watch them. I think that's where Disney has the advantage, because a lot of the stuff, even though not everything, but a lot of the stuff that they have on there, I'm willing to watch and I want to watch.